If you thought the history portion was tricky, wait until you see how the range of motion is actually measured. Or is it when no one is watching? Today, we're going to talk to you about the tools being used, what medical examinations that nurses can attend, and why your client needs a nurse observer to document what didn't happen. Now sit back and relax, grab that cup of coffee. I hope you have it with you, and let's dive in. Now, in this first section, we're going to talk about the tools that physicians use. First up is the goniometer. Now, some of you might be thinking, what is a goniometer? And how is this relevant to the medical examination? The picture of the goniometer should be right here. Now, goniometer is a tool that doctors would use in the medical examination to measure the angles of range of motion. So say for instance you have a patient that has a injury that prohibits them from flexing or extending, say, the neck. The goniometer could be used to measure the amount of degrees that the client can move the neck. Now, the goniometer is the gold standard when used appropriately. Now, a red flag that a observer would notice is that the doctor is just eyeballing the angles of the client. So say they flex the neck, right? You're moving down. And the doctor is standing back and eyeballing the degrees. And the legal edge that you can have if a nurse is present and observing, they can write in a rebuttal, say, hey, the doctor didn't use the goniometer to measure the angles of the extension or flexion of the neck. They actually just eyeballed it. So anything that they write down in their report would not be valid because they didn't use the gold standard of the goniometer to measure neck flexion or extension. That's the difference between subjective defense opinion and clinical fact. Another tool that they use is the reflex hammer, which is a picture of it, should be right here. Now, the reflex hammer is used to test reflexes. There are multiple areas on where they can hit the joints to see if there's any type of reflex. And this is something that is predominantly used for orthopedic and neurological medical examinations. The tuning fork, where there's an image right here, is used to evaluate hearing. So you can do the Renee's test or the Weber's test. So here's a major tip to give your clients during the prep time, right before the medical examination. Don't remind the doctor to do their job. Remember, the defense hired physician isn't your treating physician. Our role as observers is to document what the doctor does, what the doctor does not do, and report that back to the attorney. Now, with that said, what is the power of what isn't being done by the physician? From the observer's perspective, that is the smoking gun because the doctor didn't do the gait assessment. They did not do a palpation of the lumbar spine. They didn't do the gold standard goniometer measurement. That is our smoking gun. The doctor could send a report that is 12 to 15 pages stating that they did do all of the assessments that I stated. But while we were there, there was no attempt of doing those assessments. Remember, like I said in the last episode, some doctors can come in, do the history pretty fast, and then they do their physical part of the examination, and it can only last about 3, 4 minutes. So why are they writing 12 to 15 pages of a medical examination which did not even last that long? That is the real question. Now, you might be wondering, okay, Henry, I hear you. Nurse observers can enter the exam room, document what happened and transpired during the medical examination, and be the eyes and ears. But can they actually go to other exams? What can they go to? Is there a limit to where the nurse observer can attend? That's the thing. If you were here in the last episode, I talked about the Florida Rule 1.360, where nurse observers can attend these medical examinations. There are quite a few examinations that we can attend in the state of Florida. The main ones are the orthopedic medical examination, neurological, neuropsych, and even the functional capacity evaluation, the FCE, which is normally geared towards workers' compensation. The client has a right to have an observer present to make sure that everything is neutral. Now, the orthopedic exam, that one's a very common medical examination that nurse observers can go to, personal injury case, right? The neurological exam, this is where the observer is watching to see if the doctor does all the sense testing, all the cranial nerves, the reflexes, lower and upper extremity senses, such as using a tool that they could use is the pinwheel, the reflex hammer. Now, the neuropsych evaluation, that is a intense exam. It can last between 6 to 8 hours or go into the next day. The one thing that is important for the observer to do if you are going to that neuropsychological examination is to make sure that the client is not feeling frustrated. The client can get burnt out and feel overwhelming anxiety. And lastly, with the FCE, this one is looking for maximum effort on the client's side. So at the end of the day, why? Why is it that the nurse observer is important for you? The reason why is that we can be an independent fly on the wall. We're not just sitters. We have clinical experience and expertise to give you the objective findings, an objective report, so that you can look it over and look at what the doctor wrote down and compare the two. Because at the end of the day, the observers don't have any skin in the game. We're there to be that independent fly on the wall that is documenting everything that has happened and not interfere. Now, in other states, there are additional responsibilities that the nurse observer can do. But we want to give the client that extra security of having someone close by with them in the room so they don't feel as though that this new doctor that they don't know isn't bullying them. And that's why I love this responsibility and this role so much, is because that it gives the nurse the ability to use their clinical expertise to assist outside of the hospital. Before we sign off, I want to give a huge shout out and a good luck to all the attorneys that are going to be participating in the Chester Bedell mock trial competition this year. This is where the sharpest legal minds in the state of Florida come together. Go get them. And remember, the truth is in the details. See you on the next episode. If you found this helpful, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel. We are growing fast thanks to you guys. I'm Henry June, and I'll see you in the exam room.